So our second book that we're going to be looking at is Wild Fruits of the Countryside by Frederick Edward Hume, I think, one or the other. His name's just there. Obviously this book, when we first got it, was in demand, high demand. It's not anymore, please ignore that label. But it is a wonderful book and a true celebration of autumn, really, because instead of looking at wildflowers, which Hume did, he published a 9-volume Wildflowers of Britain, although that's not what it was called. Familiar Wildflowers is what it was called. One of those volumes was published posthumously. This is the Wild Fruits of the Countryside, so it's a celebration of the berries, the nuts, the seeds that we see on plants in autumn, and actually looking at the plants that bear those things. So this is actually part of the Woburn Library of Natural History. It was edited in some way by the Duke of Bedford. I'm not quite sure the extent to which he edited these. He says he has not attempted to impose his own opinions on those who have been asked to contribute to the series. He has actually signed it, which is quite interesting. We don't seem to have any other books in this series. This seems to be the only one. So whether it was a kind of individual donation or something we bought just because someone had requested it, I don't know. But it is truly a beautiful book. There are 36 plates in here of various different wildflowers, which are really beautiful and actually hand-drawn by the author. Frederick Edward Hume was a teacher of freehand and geometric drawing at King's College, and he was also an amateur botanist. So all of the drawings in here are his own. He also wrote about butterflies and moths, floral design and heraldry and cipher writing as well, so he was a man of many interests. The book is highly entertaining, not only for the pictures, which are beautiful, but Holmes' prose. He frequently quotes poetry, Chaucer and Shakespeare, but he also has a very dry wit, which takes delight in the kinds of lethal herbal remedies which were found in earlier works, such as Gerard's Herbal. A good example of this can be found on page 96, when we're talking about a plant that will be in flower very soon, and which we do actually have in the garden. So this is Arum maculatum, also known as cuckoo pint. It's pronounced pint because it's short for pintle, which of course is a sort of way of saying penis. It's also called lords and ladies. It's got various other names which suggest a kind of sexual idea, partly because the flower looks a bit sexual. You can Google it, you know what it looks like. It looks like a sort of arum flower. So the actual Spadix becomes these berries in autumn, which are very popular with mammals and birds as well. But they are highly poisonous. So he also kind of looks at various different herbals and quotes from them. And he's found one here where it says, "The fresh roots cut small and mixed with a salad will make an excellent sport with a saucy guest, and drive him away from his overmuch boldness, and so will the powder of the dry roots strewed upon any dainty bit that is given to him to eat. For either way, within a while after the taking of it, it will so burn and pinch his mouth and throat that he shall not be able to eat any more, or scarce to speak for pain." So if you do want to drive a saucy guest away from your house, that might be a way to do it, although please don't, because you might end up in prison or at least arrested. He also mentions here that it was used as a remedy for poison and the plague, we are told, though surely this can only be on the principle that the patient being killed off by the cuckoo pint is troubled by the plague no more. So you can see that he doesn't have a lot of patience with older remedies, a lot of which are fairly sure to kill you. But it does make the book very entertaining to read. He also talks about another plant that we have in the garden on page 153, which is our plane trees. So there's a picture just here of the plane tree, the typical leaf, and also the fruit of the plane tree. One of the interesting facts he's found about the plane tree is that the irrigation of the plane tree by wine is reputed by the ancients to make it fruitful, though why one should desire to make it fruitful, seeing that the fruit is of no value, is not apparent. So it's these kind of things which, if you're a kind of amateur gardener or a botanist or someone who's interested in wildflowers, like I am, you can't help but kind of think, do I want to try it? So from reading his Familiar Wildflowers, which I do have, he, like Gerard, had a vast array of weeds, trees and various plants in his garden. And if you are someone who comes back from a walk with their pockets full of seeds, you will find a kindred spirit in him. And if you're someone who likes to experiment in the garden, you will also find a kindred spirit in him. So it's a lovely book to read in autumn, and it's a lovely book to read if you're interested in plants and gardens and experimental horticulture. So yeah, definitely check this one out. It's not in a special collection, it is on the open shelves in the BBs, so if you do want to have a look at it, just pick it off the shelf and borrow it, because truly it is a beautiful book and often hilarious.